The 2016 to 2020 McLaren 570 Buyer's Guide video. I had to cover this supercar because I really like McLaren. I like what they're doing with their cars. They have created vehicles that appeal to our carnal senses, especially this 570. It's got everything going on. We have a stylish mid-engine car, we got doors going up, and we have a hardtop electric convertible at a very fair price, both when the thing was new and also in the used market. I'll of course talk more about pricing in a later segment, but the point is, this car is the complete package of what a person desires out of a supercar. And a quick shout out to the McLaren Life forum. For the first time in my life, this is a proper forum with useful information shared by its users. So a round of applause to the McLaren Life forum. I'll be talking more about them a little bit later as well when I talk about the various resources that you can use. But as we know, and as we have heard, this brand, McLaren, many of their products, not exactly known for stellar reliability. So in this first segment, I'm going to be talking about the various issues that you can potentially run into with these cars. And you're always going to have those people that are going to say, oh, I've had my McLaren 570 for 20 years now, and it has 400,000 miles without any issues. You know, you're always going to have those people with any brand of vehicle. Okay, McLaren, Range Rover, Mercedes, it doesn't matter. But as Murphy's Law states, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. So let's get into the first resource now. Okay, the best resource you can use to find out issues with the car is NHTSA.gov. You come to the manufacturer communications, we have 59 of these. These are also known as TSBs or technical service bulletins. These are the issues that the manufacturer themselves find with their own vehicles. So now we don't have to guess or just go based off of the people that say, oh, I've had my car for 30 years and never had an issue with it. No, we don't have to just go based off of that. We can actually see what issues the manufacturer has found. Now, I will admit a lot of these are repetitive. You're going to be seeing the same thing mentioned over and over. So I would say it's closer to 25 to 30 issues that are legitimately here with this car. I'm not going to go through everything here, but we have some electrical issues like tire pressure monitoring system is inoperative. You have presence of water in the cabin floor. That's not good. You have oil smoke from the exhaust. You have a clicking noise from the CCM brakes. Soft closed door latches inoperative and the alarm is going off. Very inconvenient there. The engine coolant temperature gauge, unusual behavior. Brake light switch, adjustment fault. Clutch oil leak from the synchro actuation valve. We have an abnormal noise from the convertible roof, vibration noise from the engine bay area. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can read this for yourself. The point is, every car is going to have issues, and when you're dealing with vehicles of this caliber, you should definitely have a warranty, but I get it. A lot of people want to know the individual nuanced issues that a car is going to have. Well, this website, NHTSA, they will compile this information for you, and you can look at this anytime during your leisure. And I think I remember seeing this on a Super Speeders Rob video. I believe he was showcasing a MP412C though, but regardless, these are two-door cars with that frameless window design, so the windows kind of automatically go up and down as clearance when you open and close the doors. And I think on the MP412C there would be an electrical fault where the windows wouldn't go down, so when people close the door they would just shatter the glass. And it's just little things like that which can cause a huge inconvenience and make you look like a complete doofus in a parking lot if that ever happens to you. And anyway, I'm not going to cover everything as I already mentioned because we would be here all day. There's of course more things I have to talk about, but in general, I've heard that it's best to skip the 2016 and the 2017 model years because they seem to be having the most amount of issues. Now, once again, there's going to be people in the forum saying that, oh, we have a I was the first person in line to get a 2016 McLaren and never had any issues with it. There's a lot of people saying that as well, but in general, the 2016 and the early production 2017 cars, they have the most amount of issues. But as we see with the NHTSA website, a lot of these TSBs that they have listed, it's from 2021, 2020, 2019. So I don't know, all over the place, but I guess it is a good rule of thumb. If you are shopping in the used car market, 2018 seems to be the best model year to get. And obviously, if you avoid the Spider, the hardtop convertible, that's another issue that you have avoided, but you've also casted aside one of the best attributes about this car, and that is the hardtop convertible. Looks amazing, really adds to the character of these vehicles. But if you want max reliability and the least amount of components, then yeah, I guess avoiding the Spider would be in your best interest. But next, let's focus on the McLaren Life forum. Okay, in this section of the video, I'm going to be focusing on the McLaren Life forum. I've already praised them for being a useful forum with great information and great people. And here I'm going to be talking about maintenance. Okay, somebody asked a very simple question: how much they can expect to pay for maintenance annually on a 570S while driving about 5,000 miles a year. And immediately the first response, we have our answer. Okay, unlike with other forums where people will they'll just kick the can down the road and nobody answers the question. They're just giving out their useless opinions on things. But no, here we have our answer. $2,000 to $3,000 is what you can expect to spend every year on maintenance and oil change services, etc. And the second person, we have another answer saying that if you go with the independent mechanic, it's going to be around $700 to $1,000 for annual oil service. And that's the thing. The service on these types of cars, once you get into the exotic car territory, it has less to do with the mileage and it has to do with annual servicing. So even if you don't drive these cars that much, you still have to service it every year. And that brings me to the next topic of the warranty, because we saw the various issues that these cars can have in the previous segment, and many people on the forums suggest that it is best to purchase these cars either certified pre-owned or pay up for the extended warranty, because McLaren does offer a decent warranty program. Okay, the new car warranty is about 3 years, and then you have the extended warranty, which you can pay up for. That goes up to 12 years for unlimited miles. However, you have to redeem it in 12 and 24 month increments with a 12,000 mileage cap. So that's how they set that up. And it truly does cover a lot of useful things. Of course, the powertrain, but also electrical issues, steering, braking, and air conditioning components. So the main things are definitely covered with this extended warranty, but we come over to the useful McLaren Life forum and we can see just how much this warranty is going to cost you. So we have a gentleman here with the 650S Spider. This is back in like 2020. His vehicle was starting to come out of warranty and he wanted to purchase this extended warranty from McLaren. And the sales rep told them that it was going to cost about $6,000 per year to have this warranty. That is quite a lot, but that's what you can expect to pay for vehicles like this. Honestly, I would do it because in 3 years you've spent about $18,000 in terms of this warranty. And this is just the cost that you have to pay to be the boss, I guess. I mean, this is going to be very similar numbers with other cars in this segment. You know, your Lambos, Ferraris, Bentleys, they're all going to be very much similar. You know, people are saying those can cost like 20 grand, things of that nature, especially for 3 or 4 years. And this seems to be in line with that. And we have some other people in this forum saying that, yeah, they would go for it actually. They would purchase this warranty just to be on the safe side. However, one thing to note, a gentleman here commented that the clutch is not covered. That's apparently considered as normal wear and tear. But if you need a clutch replacement, that's going to be about 25 grand, according to this individual who commented. So yeah, not cheap vehicles, not cheap at all. I mean, I don't know what people are expecting, but yeah, I'm primarily making this video for people who are reaching, okay? People who can comfortably afford these cars. They don't ask questions. They're not really watching these videos, because people who can truly afford it, they don't just look at it and say, oh, which one is the best value for money? Is it the McLaren, the Ferrari, or the Lambo? They don't ask those questions. They just buy all three. You know, they just do it cleanly, decently, and neatly. They don't ask questions, okay? No extracurricular questions needed. They just go out, buy what they need, which is all of it. So those are the people who can truly afford these cars. But for the aspirational folks, maybe you're making, I don't know, 20, 30 grand a month, ideally business income, but you know, there are doctors and other professionals out there that make that type of money, and you want something like this. I mean, yeah, this is adding up very quickly. Okay, the warranty, the repairs, the maintenance, and not to mention property taxes. If you're in a state like North Carolina, yeah, they only charge 3% sales tax, but we also have an annual property tax after that, which never ends. So on a vehicle like this, around $180,000 to $220,000 original MSRP, you can expect to pay like over $2,000 to $3,000 a year in property taxes. We also saw about $2 to $3 grand in maintenance as well, and we haven't even talked about insurance or fuel costs with a car like this. So you definitely need to set aside a good amount of money to operate a vehicle like this. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the McLaren 570 market now. Okay, I like to use Car Gurus, and I filter out all of the accident vehicles, the lemon history, the salvage titles. Why? Because these things really devalue your vehicle, and especially an accident car, you have no idea how the body shop is going to put these cars back together. It's never going to be up to that OEM spec. So I like to avoid those cars. And you do all that, you do a nationwide search, you got about 104 McLaren 570Ss available for sale, and the lowest price is around $119,000. And typically the lower end vehicles are between $120,000 to $130,000. That seems to be the price that they're operating in. Of course, I already mentioned that 2018 to 2020, that seems to be the best model years for the 570. And once you start looking for the cleaner and newer, lower mileage vehicles, now you're closer to the 150 price range. But we're not done yet, because I think most people shopping for these vehicles should consider buying a CPO 570. Why? Because when you buy CPO, McLaren offers you a 1-year warranty with those cars. Yeah, it's only 1 year, but if you want to get that extended warranty that I was talking to you about, I believe it has to be like a CPO car for you to be able to purchase that extended warranty. I believe that's how it works, but you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, or I'll put something on the screen here for you to read. But anyway, the 2018 and up CPO 570s, that's going to be around 170, 175 now, so we really creeped up in pricing. Of course, a lot of this includes the Spiders as well. You can get the CPO 2016s and 2017s as well. That's going to come in at a much lower price point. However, you may have to deal with some more issues. Some people say in the forums, oh, if you had the issues taken care of once, then the second person doesn't have to worry about it. But I don't know. I've noticed that the same issue can keep popping up with some of these cars. So just be wary of that. If you want to have the least amount of headaches, buy the 2018 and up. I think that'll be a more cleaned up example. You can also look into the 570 GT. There's only like 19 of those for sale all throughout the United States as of October 2023. And if you want the most livable and the softest riding McLaren 570, then definitely go with the GT, because it does come with that softer suspension. And I guess these cars are slightly more affordable / obtainable. There's only 2 of these CPO models available, and it's around 144 to 155 in that price range. They're both 2017 cars. So let's just take the mid pricing of 150. Let's just take that and run that in a calculator, because one of the biggest issues that you're going to run into with these exotic cars is getting financing. Banks have become very strict with these cars. A lot of people, they've defaulted on their loans, and now banks are stuck with these exotic cars that people overpaid for, and nobody's able to get the money back on these vehicles, because the days of paying over MSRP and paying these inflated pricing, that's over now, especially with the higher interest rate market that we are in. So if you want a car like this, expect to put a 20% down payment. I feel like just about every exotic car bank is going to require that from you, or banks that do exotic car financing. They're going to want to see 20% down. Getting a loan for cars like this, it's basically like getting a mortgage. It's the same requirements. They want to see like 2 years of tax returns, and they want to see that 20% down payment. So when they repo the car, you've had plenty of skin in the game, and now they can actually run these vehicles through an auction at a lower price, and it can actually sell because, well, they have 20% down. So I'm on a auto loan calculator. I got a price of $150K with an interest rate of around 10%. It could be higher than 10% because banks are just not too fond of offering financing on these vehicles. But let's go with 10%, and let's go with the 20% down pay, and the payments are around $1,800 a month for 96 months. I know a lot of people, they like to do those 12-year, 144-month exotic car loans. I think companies like Woodside Credit, they like to do that. And now the payment's around $1,400 a month. However, your total interest is like $86,000. That is crazy. The interest rate says it's 10%, but it's like you're paying 85% in interest because what these banks do is they front load all of the interest. So in the first few years, you are making very little equity. You're going to be for sure underwater if you do one of these 144-month loans on a exotic car, because for the first 6 years, the majority of your payments are just going towards the interest. And as you can see, if you kept this loan for the full 12 years, you're paying $86,000 in interest. You would think that with the 10% interest rate, you would only be paying $15,000 in interest, but no, that's not how these things work. These car loans and mortgages, they both operate the same way. Banks front load the interest, they want that down payment, and they're basically securing themselves. They're making sure that they're getting their profit first. So in case you bail out and they need to run these cars through an auction, they made their money, they made their profit. And in the next segment, I'm going to be talking about the various ways in which you can purchase these cars, because this is just your traditional way of financing a vehicle like this. And this can be difficult because, once again, banks are not too happy about financing exotic cars. And keep in mind, a 2016, 2018 McLaren, that's like 6 to 8 years old at this point. That is crazy. And I've heard some regular banks not even offering financing on a 2016 like economy car. They said a 2016 car is too old at this point, which is nuts. So yeah, I'll be talking about the different avenues of purchasing next, but keep in mind the original MSRP of a 570S in 2016 was $187,000. Most builds were around $220,000. And now you can expect to pay around $150, $160 for good, clean McLarens. But that's used with several thousand miles on it. People who bought these things new, they were able to get like 10% off MSRP. Those were the typical discounts that you were able to get back in 2016 and 2017 when these cars were new in the pre-pandemic market. So yeah, these used car prices, they're still inflated, but all things considered, if you want a supercar in today's market, these McLarens, especially this 570, this is going to be the newest and freshest supercar that you can get. Okay, this is not a Gallardo, this is not some 612 Ferrari. Okay, this is a clean, modern, crisp supercar, and it offers the complete package. Okay, the doors going up, the mid-engine, it looks proper, very fast, decent warranty options as long as you have a good dealership nearby. With that established, let's talk about the various ways of buying next. All right, you're gonna have a lot of people, many elitists, saying that, oh, if you can't pay cash for the car, then you can't afford it. You know, you would think that a lot of people, especially at that echelon of society, would know better. There's a lot of tax benefits. You know, obviously you can talk to your own accountant about that, but there are tax benefits, especially for business owners when you lease cars. Now, there's different types of leasing, you know, closed-end leasing, open-ended leasing. A lot of the leases that you're going to be seeing for exotic cars is going to be open-ended leasing, so you're pretty much on the hook for the depreciation of the car. It's not quite as secure as like your traditional BMW closed lease. We have some interesting companies like Amazon Leasing and Premier Financial Services. Okay, they offer some unique leasing programs for exotic cars, but I think these people, they just charge crazy amounts of interest for these types of leases. They give you this amortized schedule that you can look over, similar to a mortgage, and it shows you like how much equity you have in the car in the given year, and you can easily get out of the vehicle at any time. You know, the purpose of these leases is to make sure that the person leasing has equity in the car at all times. That's kind of the idea behind it, but I don't know. I feel like they charge a lot of interest. It's an interesting way that they set these things up. I think it works better for cars that have the best resale value, like a Porsche GT3 or some Ferrari products. But regardless, this is an avenue that's open to you. And I guess in this crazy high interest rate market, you might be better off using a service like this because they are professionals in the exotic car market. So you might have a easier time getting financing through companies like Premier Financial Services or Amazon Leasing. So that's one way. And we already discussed the traditional financing in the previous segment. But another unique method of purchasing exotic cars that I happen to really like, of course, this is not going to work out for everyone, but it's to use a whole life insurance policy, not just any whole life insurance policy, one that's specially engineered and designed. I'm no expert on such topics. You can watch some Chris Noggle videos to learn more about this, but essentially you can dump some money into one of these specially engineered whole life insurance policies, and that's growing, guaranteed at like 3 to 5% interest compounded, and you never have to worry about the money going up and down. It's just always there, growing. But at the same time, you can borrow from that insurance policy, so you can do some further investing, like you can buy a house, or you can invest in the stock market or syndication, something like that. Or you can fund your lifestyle. You can buy cars, you can buy boats, whatever you want. But if you can pull like $150K out of a whole life insurance policy, I think that's one of the best ways to purchase an exotic car in today's market, because those life insurance policies don't have to be paid back. Of course, I think it is wise to pay it back, but regardless, you don't have to if you don't want to. And the interest that they charge, it's like a simple interest. So instead of a traditional bank that front loads the interest, I believe these insurance companies, they put the interest on the back end. So when they charge 10% interest, they're only charging you like 15 grand on a 150K car, not 50 or 80 grand in interest. So that's something to keep in mind. If you don't understand that, I would suggest doing some more research, talking to your accountants, or watch some Chris Noggle videos. But the issue with this is, if you really do have 150K to pull out of those insurance policies, I guess most people would rather just invest that money, unless they just have millions and millions in those policies. Then they can afford to do whatever they want. But once again, for the people reaching, if you got 150K to take out, I guess you would rather put that towards a property or invest in some syndication, something like that, that actually makes you money. But that's the thing about these exotic cars. There's a huge opportunity cost with these vehicles, because you can take this sum, you can invest it elsewhere, make a crazy return, or just blow it on this rotting, depreciating car, right? But in this next segment, let's talk about new McLaren leasing and also some alternatives that you can consider over this McLaren 570S. Alright, instead of playing with this used 570, you could consider leasing a new McLaren. Obviously the 570 is no longer in production, but you can get either the Artura, I believe that's how you say it, or the McLaren GT. The GT is obviously a lot more affordable, and this is going to be like your Grand Touring McLaren, but it's supposed to offer you a lot more cargo space, supposed to be easier to drive, and a lot more comfortable. And I'm on the McLaren Charlotte website, and their current lease deal is $25,000 down and $2,258 per month. That's their lease special. And yeah, these companies, they're not playing. They really do want that 25K down. This is for a 36-month, 2,500 mile per year lease. I would definitely try my best to negotiate this, try to get that 25K down as low as possible, because putting money down on a lease is like throwing away money. It really is. Now again, a lot of that 25K down, it has to do with the taxes Okay, even in a state like North Carolina that only charges 3% in sales tax, that's around $7,500 for sales tax alone on a $250,000 car. So you got to keep that in mind, and they want all of that due up front. They want you to have skin in the game, essentially. And I've seen other dealerships, they offer slightly lower monthly payments, and it depends on the MSRP of the car as well, but you could get that monthly payment closer to $2,000 a month and try to get that $25,000 down to a lower price. And I think that would make this a little bit more obtainable. But to keep the math simple, let's say they do want the $25K down, and let's just say that the lease payment is $2,000 per month. Take $25K divided by 36 months, it's about $700. You can expect to pay around $2,700 a month on a new McLaren GT, but you don't have to worry about repairs or any of that nonsense. You're driving a brand new car, and I do genuinely think this is the best way to go. The Artura is more expensive, and it's also a V6 as opposed to this 570 and this McLaren GT, which is the twin turbo V8. So that's certainly something to consider. And also, I haven't really talked about driving or the competitors much, but I've driven the 570. I do like it. It really embraces its turbocharged nature. You get this subtle delay, and then there's this crazy boost that comes right after it, and you're just flying. So it's unlike the twin turbo Ferraris, which they tried to make those feel like a naturally aspirated experience where the power comes on in the top end. The McLarens are not like that. They give you the power at the low end like a traditional turbo car. And I think that's the excitement that most people want out of a vehicle in this class. However, I will say the Ferrari is my most favorite vehicle to drive. That is the most masterful chassis and suspension tuning that I have ever experienced in any car, but you will be paying for that. A 488 or even a clean Lamborghini Huracan is going to be almost $100K more than a similarly spec'd and model year McLaren. Okay, you can expect to pay like $220, $250 in the used car market for cars like that. The two main supercars that I am personally interested in the 150K price category is a Ferrari FF and the Aston Martin Vanquish. And I guess you can throw in a new Audi R8 rear-wheel drive, but that's going to run around 180 for a new one, but that is a brand new vehicle. But I'm mainly interested in the Ferrari one because the 488 I drove was just perfection. That was a perfectly dialed in product, and I really loved that. But also, since I am a journalist that reviews cars, one of the experiences that I've never had is a proper performance, naturally aspirated V12. I've driven like Rolls-Royce V12s, but not a performance V12 engine. And I think something like a FF could be the closest thing to a budget Lexus LFA that you can get to. I really like the audible experience, and these turbo engines don't quite offer that. So I'm interested in a Vanquish, Aston Martin 2015 and up, and same with the FF, but that's just me. I get it. Most people, it's as I mentioned before, the McLaren is the complete package of mid-engine. Many people want a mid-engine car ever since they were kids, with doors that go up and a really fast experience where you feel like you're truly being pinned back into your seat. I will say the interior is a little bit of a letdown with the McLaren products. It's nowhere near as nice as the new Ferrari products and the Lamborghinis. Okay, both the Gallardo and the Huracan, both of them have really solid interiors. The McLaren, not so much, and it's nothing special to look at either when you're sitting inside of it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But all things considered, McLaren is a cool car. So let's go ahead and let's conclude. I like McLarens. I think they're cool cars. The forum community genuinely seems to be full of intelligent people, and there's a lot of great information out there regarding these cars, and hopefully you appreciate all of the resources that I shared with you. I must say, if you're somebody who is reaching here, like you happen to have a high income, but you're not really bagged up with millions of dollars like a lot of the 50 and the 60-year-old people are, people who have been investing for 20, 30, 40 years, and they've had the compound interest working in their favor for all those years. They have a bunch of properties and syndication investments that are working in their favor, creating, 6-7 figures a month for these people. If you're not like that and you're just making, 20, 30K a month with a good job or something, or with a small business, then honestly, yeah, you can consider a certified pre-owned McLaren, but you might also want to consider lower end new products like a new Porsche 911 or something, for instance. That way you have better dealer support, better access to parts. You know, in one of these exotic cars, when they have an issue, they're going to be sitting in a dealership for 6 to 8 weeks, it seems like. So that's something else to keep in mind. And in general, the way that the world is moving right now, are these exotic car purchases really a good idea as of right now? Once again, if you're reaching, I really don't think so. But if you just already have millions of dollars, I mean, again, videos like this, it's not for the people with millions of dollars because they just don't care. They just buy one of everything. So yeah, that doesn't really matter. But again, opportunity cost with exotic cars, it's super high. You can literally buy a house or make some type of syndication investment that can get you really nice returns on your money, especially with today's economy where everything is overinflated in pricing. You already saw that the original MSRP on a 570S or a 570 GT is like 180 to 190 or so, and most people were able to get 10% off MSRP on those vehicles. So, you know, these used prices are inflated, the cost of living is very high. Moving forward, I don't really think luxury purchases of this caliber are going to be wise for most people, but that's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section. And most importantly, if you're an owner that happened to stumble across this video, let us know how the car has been holding up for you. Let us know what kind of issues that you can run into. I obviously did not cover everything. I mainly just wanted to share with you the resources so you can go out and you can do your own due diligence. But the point is, I think you understand these are very expensive cars to operate. So thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.